Hey, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Clinic Gym Radio. And I am super excited to have a wonderful guest, our first international guest, actually, Paul Gough. Paul, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. But, you know, my day took a definite uptick now that I got you on the line. So we're rocking and rolling here, baby. So I appreciate you being here. Good.
It's my absolute pleasure to be here. And thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I'm in warm, beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. It's going to dip all the way down to 62 degrees, maybe 63. So I might have to pull out a sweatshirt. Where are you calling in from?
I'm calling from a freezing cold, dark, damp northeast of England where it will not hit 62 again for about another 4 months at least. The northeast of England, I'm in a little town called Hartlepool.
That's awesome. Even the warmest parts of England aren't that warm right now, right?
Even the warmest parts of England in summer will be lucky to hit 62.
Great. Well, the cool thing is, and we might get to this later, is that you basically, you built your own escape tunnel out of the cold, freezing weather, right? And you are enabled yourself to move to a little bit sunnier of an area called, what is it called? San Diego, California?
Yeah, it's called the beautiful west coast of the US, which is a stark contrast to where I am right now. But yeah, no, it's been a pretty wild journey that has most definitely. You obviously listened to my story of what I've been inspired by, and as individuals, we often work harder to get out of something than move towards something. And my life here in the UK is fabulous, and I love it. I never take it for granted. However, it is quite restricting in terms of the quality of the life that you can lead, particularly if you live or like to be outdoors and just appreciate very simple things in your life, like going for a walk and being at the swing park or playing soccer with your kids outside in reasonably comfortable weather. So yeah, I'm off to sunnier climates very soon to continue to grow my business and build my family and give them hopefully a different look at what life is like.
Fantastic, man. Well, I know that move only comes on the back of some hard work and the right moves at the right time that you are now kind of helping other PTs and business owners with. But so for people who are not familiar with Paul Gough, I mean, I don't know how somebody could be in that camp. I mean, the guy's got a great British accent. He's on podcasts and interviews and Facebook all the time. But if somebody's been under a rock and they're a clinician not knowing who Paul Gough is, can you just give them maybe a 1-minute snapshot of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm obviously from the northeast of England. I started life as a professional soccer physical therapist, started a business, solo practitioner around about 2007. And then I did what everybody did. I courted friends and family for referrals. I got going. I built a nice little steady practice and hit a flat line that I just couldn't get past. I relied upon insurance companies and third-party referrals to send me their patients. The pay was pretty crap. I realized and knew or hoped that there must be a better way to build a business. I started coming to the US to learn direct response marketing and just general better business skills. Plugged them all into my own physio business in the UK. I now have 4 clinics, predominantly cash-based, 18 staff, 2,000 visits a month. My company is called the Paul Gough Physio Rooms, and I'm an owner of a very proud owner of a business that runs without me. I have fabulous staff and a fabulous business and systems that allows me to continue now to serve other physio business owners around the world, predominantly the US, and help them to grow more successful cash-based businesses.
That's awesome. I think you're, like I said before the interview, I think you are saving the world. So for all those people that are listening going, oh yeah, this is another guy saying cash, this and that, and I'm just going to take insurance companies. Can you talk about the, I think, unique struggle you had of moving to cash in Great Britain? Because it's a little bit different than it is here in the US, you know?
Yeah, healthcare is free. So there is no copay, there is no deductible, there is no... there's nothing, there's nothing to pay. And therefore, every time you try to market to a patient for private pay, they have a very strong option. You might have heard of them. They're called the National Healthcare Service, the NHS, which is the biggest brand on earth, the biggest company anywhere in the world, is my direct competition. And everybody in Britain knows that they can get it for free. So I had to spend a lot of time figuring out my marketing, my communication, my unique value proposition, and helping people in the towns of where my clinics are now that what I do is uniquely different from anybody or anything that they can get in the national healthcare, and why it's in their best interest to pay me money, which was really is the golden question for everybody. It's how do we get people to pay cash, or even if you're insurance based, I mean, the amount of money that people are paying these days, $60, $70 co-pays, $5,000 deductibles, they're paying cash, whether you like it or they choose to see it that way or they don't. And the more that they're going to have to contribute in cash out of pocket of their own money, the bigger the struggle is going to get for anybody who doesn't figure out how to communicate very differently, how to market very differently, how to prove the value of what you do very differently from the traditional way that the business has been or the profession has been run in the past. So that's my challenge, if you like, that I've had to overcome, and I'm still to this day figuring out ways to beat the NHS into the ground even more.
I love it. I love it because you started with a constraint that most people in the U.S. don't, that you could not compete on price. And so that one never could even enter the picture. It wasn't like, well, you're paying $50 for a copay. I'll do it for $55 cash. And I think people get into that horrible situation where they're like, oh, everybody around me is charging this, therefore I can't charge what you're saying. Around Paul, everybody was charging zero, like nothing. And he said, no, I'm going to charge a lot. So that I really would love to get into that, because I think that a lot of clinicians, PTs, even chiropractors are charging way too little, giving way too great a service. And they're approaching this as a commodity, and I think it's something way different. What do you think?
I think everybody is selling the same thing, and that's the problem. The professional, the service professional, the guy or the girl who runs the business is trying to sell the same thing. And essentially that's a race to the bottom that is happening in every profession everywhere in the world. And the victory, the goal, the success, the fulfillment will go to the companies that figure out how to do the same thing, but package it and make it appear to be more valuable and more aligned to the goals, the outcomes that individuals truly want, which unfortunately in our world, we've been schooled to think that people on the street want pain relief and they want more function. They do not, as a general rule, go to bed at night worrying about pain or loss of function. They go to bed at night worrying about much deeper or having what I call second order consequence problems, that the first problem that the pain or the loss of function creates. And the only way to beat a commodity or to stop becoming a commodity is to stop offering what the commodity offers. What your competition offers is pain relief and physical therapy. You have to offer something completely and uniquely different to the competition to avoid the race to the bottom, where it doesn't become they do $55, I'll do 50. You get into a league of one, charge 250, and have your competition looking at you thinking, how the hell has he done that? So most of the problems and struggles that business owners have is because it's what they tolerate. It's just laziness in terms of not getting off their backsides and going learning how to market to people, how people actually make decisions, what we truly value in our life, and really what the unique value proposition of our skills actually is, which I guarantee you will not have been taught to you in PT school or university anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Again, man, I just love everything you're talking about. I had a consulting job 5 months ago when I had to do some market research, and I interviewed like 20, 25 different chiropractors. And I said, why do people see you? Like, why do they go to your office? And every single one of them gave me the same crappy answer, which is, I actually get people better. I'm like, so your assumption is that people are going into your office, evaluating the way you treated them, scaling themselves on, hey, I felt this way and my pain relief was that much. And then they're walking out of your office and going into another one and comparing you apart, because that's the only way you could come to that conclusion. Like, It's a ridiculous idea. Everybody does good care. What they're really looking for is something totally different. So can we dive into that? What you've learned over all these years of basically going from hey, I'm going to give the NHS the middle finger. I'm not going to charge zero. I'm going to charge $200, and I'm going to build a now international business on the back of that idea.
Yes. And right. It goes down to this. There's a concept called Occam's razor, where when faced with an option of solving the same problem and given two choices, you always choose the simplest choice first. Okay, so there are many ways, and our way is to spend 20 years convincing yourself that the more skills that you get, the more tactical knowledge that you get, the better clinician that you get, the more con ed that you get, the more CEU that you get, you will eventually become the world's best clinician, and therefore have flocks and flocks of people or stacks of people flocking to you. The simpler way, and the easiest way, and the fastest way, and the best way is to quite simply to stop selling what everybody else does. That's it. And if you've got 15 chiropractors And I work with chiropractors, by the way, for anybody who is listening to this, who is a chiropractor.
Yeah, our man Justin over in New Jersey, right?
And more. Justin's a cool guy. He's worked with me for a year or so at least, and is doing very, very well, applying the basic principles of business, because that's what really it's about now. It's not about how good of a chiropractor you are or how good of a physical therapist you are. And I can back that up by telling you that I know many successful PT assistants who run more successful businesses than highly and way more qualified PTs who
love it.
Successful in business. So
I love it.
The adage that you need to be good in business is ridiculous. A good clinician to be a good business owner. It's like saying that the airline pilot needs to be able to fix the engines if there's a problem. It just would not happen in any other profession.
Or you care how the chef cuts the meat he's serving you. You don't care.
No, not in any way, shape, or form. So how then, back to Occam's razor. So one option is to try to become for 20 years and work you up to the top as the most clinically skilled and think that it's all about the clinical knowledge, the clinical expertise. I can guarantee you that 99.9% of people listening to this podcast at any one time have enough clinical knowledge to do more than a good enough job for the people that they serve tomorrow or the day after. So therefore, it comes down to, if you're struggling, it's because you are in a cesspit with 15 other chiropractors or physios, all thinking the same wrong thoughts about how businesses prosper and how people actually make decisions about choosing businesses. So in my case, I've got the free National Healthcare Service as a competition, and I can choose to outmarket them. I can try to borrow $100,000 equivalent and spend it all on the TV and radio and go, basically, I'm better than the NHS. It does not matter. It will never, ever make a dent in a million years to enough people to give them enough confidence to give me the money over going to the free NHS. The only opportunity that I've got, back to Occam's razor, is to stop selling what the NHS sells. So while the NHS sells pain relief and a restoration of function or movement or whatever else is the buzzword these days that physical therapists or chiropractors like to talk about, I sell a life that is free from pain relief, from painkillers, out of the doctor's office, and focuses on independence, activity, and mobility. And when you come and see me, that's what I do. Obviously, I take away pain and increase range of movement and all that sort of stuff underneath that banner. But when my marketing and my message talks about those things, which are uniquely aligned to the outcomes that the individual wants and dreams about or has nightmares about losing, that's when they're happy to pay $200 out of pocket in cash for something that is free, cheaper, or easily available elsewhere. And if people can accept that as fact, because it is, and they do it in other areas of their life who are listening to this podcast today, your business success is much, much easier.
Yeah. I love everything about that. I love back about 5 months ago, I have a recurrent disc injury that flares up, and I know everything you can know about back pain. I mean, I know how it should be treated. I know what it looks like on MRI. I know all that. And yet here I was in pain. And my first thought was not, hey, I want to get out of pain and therefore I need to see a chiropractor or a physical therapist. My thought was, man, I can't wrestle with my boys. And if I can't wrestle with my boys, they'll think I'm a total wuss. And if they think I'm a total wuss, they're going to grow up into wussies. And then they're going to get beat up on the playground. And oh my God, I got to get some medication. Like that. It's not I need to see a physio. It's, I don't want my kids to get beat up on the playground. And that is the motivation.
So what you've just described is what I explained at the start of the call. The businesses that focus on the first order consequence lose. So the first order consequence is the pain. The second, third, fourth, and fifth order consequence, second, third, fourth, and fifth problem created is everything after that. Well, what if this happens? What if I make the wrong decision? What if my kids think this? What if I lose the ability to do this? The company that can step in and solve second, third, fourth, and fifth order consequences charges what the hell they want. The company that solves first order consequences does what 96% of American businesses does and goes bust within 2 years. That's a fact, and the facts do not lie. If you do what everybody else does, you will get what everybody else gets. So the question is, how do you get into the 4% club? How do you get over to that world? Which astounds me that when people look at the likes of what I do, they're like, oh, that can't be done. Like, it is being done. Like, what the hell can you argue with? It's like, you might not like it. You might not think that it's right. You might not feel that it's right, but it sure is right. And ironically, the exact same thing that the business owner is doing as an individual and what he or she wants and what he or she buys from businesses that they hand over money to is because of second, third, fourth, and fifth order consequences, not because of the original problem.
Yeah, that's impactful. So let's put this into a kind of a nuts and bolts. How you know if you're going after that second, third, fourth, fifth level order. What is a? Let me see. How I want to ask this question. Is there a price at which you can just see if that person's charging a price above which you say, okay, this person's obviously connected with that message in their marketing, in their treatment, in their customer service, or a price where you can look at that price and go, of what they're charging for an office visit, go, there's no way they're connecting with that higher level. So what is a baseline amount people should be charging as a service provider for a single visit?
It's a concept of many factors. A, the marketing message, B, the confidence, and the perception created by marketing message, media, authority, stature in the marketplace, etc., that collectively adds up to whether or not somebody thinks that what they are looking at and who they are talking to can command the level that they're being asked. Now, as a general rule, if you wanted a carte blanche kind of answer, most people are usually $50 to $75 off as to what they could be charging. And I had a call today with a lady from Oregon, and I didn't even ask her what the price that she was going to charge. She's a brand new business owner in Oregon. And I said, well, typically that part of the world, you're likely to come on and tell me you're going to charge $165. And I can tell you stories of people in that area who are charging $225 and $250. And the phone went silent. And she just started to laugh when she came back on. I was like, what are you laughing at? She said, 165 was what I was going to do. I'm like, I know. Usually, as a general rule, the West Coast seems to come in at me when I work with clients at around about 170. They seem to have a little bit more of a, I'm a bit more confident, or people will pay a bit more over here. So I'll go in at 160s or 170. And on the East Coast, it's or somewhere in the middle, it's like, I'll be 130, 135. Like, why? I mean, this has gone on in clinics in like Miami, New York. Like, you just cannot do it. Like, how the hell do you get money for marketing, for profit? You cannot do it at that level. And there's an argument to say that the cheaper you are, the less respect you're going to get, therefore the less buy-in, and therefore the more problems you're actually inviting with drop-offs, compliance, etc. 165, if you're right now 165, you'll get to 225 very comfortably. It's not that big of a jump in the mind of the consumer, so long as your marketing message is pitched against their second, third, fourth, and fifth order consequences. If it's pitched against pain, and this is a story I regularly tell, picture yourself on a shelf in Walgreens next to a bottle of ibuprofen or a box of pills that is being sold for $12.99. You start talking about pain relief, you are on the shelf with a box of ibuprofen or Advil for significantly cheaper.
Yep. And it's going to last for multiple days, and I won't need to inconvenience myself to go there. And I buy it once and it lasts me for a month. It's
correct.
Yep. So, and the other thing is, I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen this talking to some business owners and even in our own experience. When you raise your price, that's when you start getting a waiting list. Like, you don't get a waiting list at $40 a session, but at, $200, I'm going to guess you're getting a waiting list because people are like, what the hell's going on in there that's worth $200? And they immediately value you higher when you value yourself higher. Do you see that in your clients?
It's a swagger. It's an intangible business. The most, and again, I can go off on one here. The most successful businesses are built on intangibles. So they're built on companies that solve second order problems and intangibles. And an intangible is that confidence, is that authority, is that eye contact, is that way that you hold yourself, is the, when you ask me the price, I belt you back, look you right between the eyes and tell you that it's $250, take it or leave it. With such confidence that it's, wow, this person means it. Like, and he means business. And if he means business, he's certain. If he's certain, I'm going to get the outcome that I want. Most business owners don't do that. It's like, but it's $140 and we'll just see how it goes. And it's like, well, they're not going to buy that from you at all. So the confidence that comes with it, price is not the problem for anyone. Why does Apple charge $500 more for all of its equipment than Microsoft does? Like, it's the same damn thing at the end of the day. Do any of us know what the processor does, or why it's a faster chip, or why the graphics card? We don't give a crap about that stuff.
And I always love it because the Samsung guy will argue with you. Well, this has a faster chip and it has this and that. It's like, yeah, huh? How's that doing? Like when you're going over the first level problems of I don't have enough storage or whatever, how's that working out for Samsung? How many units are they moving against the iPhone? Exactly. It's a factor of 10. Like
exactly. And so the clues of success in business are all around us. That it's not just our professions, by the way. This is the typical plight of business owners that we find more reasons not to be successful than actually look for reasons to be successful. And much of it is just to start with by looking at what you buy, why you buy, looking at behavioral science, looking at the confidence that people give to you that you're happy to hand over $300 for something that you could get for $180. Like these are all of the reasons. You don't take a look at their qualifications. You don't look at their Con Ed or their CEUs. You look in their eyes. You look at their website. You look at their testimonials. You pick up on all sorts of body language, the way that they spoke to you, the confidence with which they spoke to you, the words that they use. All of these things add up to help you make a decision that this is what I want, and I'm very confident, and I feel safe by handing over my time and my money to this individual.
I'll be right back with my talk with Paul Gough after this.
Are you a chiropractor or physical therapist working long hours, worrying about lower repayments and missing out on quality time with your family? You can double your income without working more hours by adding a gym to your practice. Clinic Gym Hybrid Solutions has a step-by-step guide that dramatically simplifies and speeds up the addition of a fitness center and its monthly recurring revenue. In just 6 months, you can be on your way to freedom. Visit clinicgymhybrid.com today for a free downloadable PDF and complimentary consultation to get you started. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.
So if you were to kind of simplify this, I know that you have a whole program for this. And where can people find your actual program if they're interested?
So my stuff, the best place to start with me is paulgough.com. I have a podcast there of my own, the Business School, Physical Therapy Business School podcast, where I speak not just about marketing, from recruitment to finance to metrics to cash flow, price strategy, strategic thinking, leadership. And I pretty much just share my journey as a business owner, and my travels and the lessons that I've learned as I continue to grow the Paul Gough Physio Room. So paulgough.com has my podcast on there. And I also have a video show that people can watch there, which basically you can watch me work with my staff and put to play or put into play everything that I talk to you about on the podcast. You'll actually see it happen on the video show as well. So there's paulgough.com and there's ptprofitacademy.com as well, which has my courses and my classes and all of the masterminds and different events that we hold around the US.
Okay. So I want to keep going though, if you have some time, because I want to make sure people knew how to get after you. But so if you were to simplify this, and we're on that Occam's razor, we're going to go with a simple strategy here. If you were just to make 3 general recommendations or 3 suggestions to people in practice right now that are looking to grow their practice, maybe they want to add a gym, but they're looking to grow, maybe they are 50-50 cash and insurance, 3 things that they can do that you think this will drive you forward and help you achieve what you actually thought practice would be like, right? So just 3 simple steps. What could you tell our listeners?
3 simple steps.
Yep.
Not much is going to happen unless people know who you are. And
okay.
With that comes a caveat of it's more important for them to understand that you get them than it is for them to understand how good your skills are. And
so on my business card, it's not as important to list every single God blessed certification I've ever done over a weekend. What's more important is maybe reflecting what I do for other people.
And who I do it for. So the whole concept of a perfect patient, which frightens the hell out of most business owners to think that you have to say no to some people, which you truly have to do. And having that on your website, having that on your marketing material so that it's blatantly obvious and very easy for somebody to look at your stuff or your material and go, that guy or that lady helps me. So in my case, you look at any of my material for the Paul Gough Physio Rooms, it screams that we help somebody age 55 or 60. We help you with independence. If you're 23 and you're on my website, you're not bothered about independence. Like you just probably want a calf strain, injury recovery, or you want some help with an ACL. And you probably still call my clinic, and they do. But when we're actively marketing directly to people where I'm paying money, and we're putting resources underneath it, then I'm going to go after a very specific small pocket of people who are 55 to 60, who are worried about knee pain enough to think that it's going to cost them their independence, or back pain that's slowing them down. So we make all of the marketing materials very specific to that. Secondly, price strategy. Most businesses suffer, and not necessarily because they can't get enough patients through the door, early doors. It's that there's not enough money left over for profit or investment in marketing or business coaching or training, which inevitably you're going to need to be successful in business. So the extra $50 that you can charge, once you realize how easy it is to put $50 onto your fees, should and could go back into more marketing to bring more people through the doors who pay higher prices, and that confidence machine that you get onto inevitably gets you to where you want to be much faster.
Now, can we pause real quick there? I just want everybody listening to really hear what Paul's saying here, because he just made it sound incredibly simple, and that's because he has a ton of knowledge. But let's go back to it doesn't matter if people don't know who the hell you are. And within that is define who you want to go after. So you said you want to focus Paul Gough Physio Rooms, 55 to 60-year-olds who are threatened with independence. So people that maybe got stuck on a couch at a holiday party over Christmas, they couldn't get up without some help. They're very willing to come in, right?
Yep.
People that have low back pain that's keeping them from traveling. Maybe they have a ton of money in the bank, but they can't travel. All that money becomes worthless to them, right? Yep. They wanted to go see Greece and go with their wife. So the reason it's so important to define these people, and Paul, please, if you feel differently, tell me, but when he said 55 to 6-year-olds, immediately, if we go, well, where do I find these people? Where do I let them know about me? Instagram fell pretty low on the bottom of the list, right? Facebook, yeah. maybe. But now, if I told you I'm going after 55 and 6-year-olds, is print media a possibility? Yes. Could I write an article for my local magazine? Yes. Now, conversely, if I was going after the 22 to 25-year-old crowd, should I spend any time writing an article for a newspaper? Probably absolutely not, because it's not going to give me the pay. So once you define that, it inherently simplifies everything. And then when you move into the second stage of putting some money back into marketing, you know where to put in money. You're not just trying to throw it everywhere, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, okay. So we're back in the charge enough that you can actually market.
Yes.
Right. This is step 2.
Charge enough, which pays for the marketing. Okay. And the third, most simplest advice that I could give to get going is understand that there is a hybrid in the beginning. Time is your biggest asset. So in the beginning of running a business, a mistake that I'm seeing a lot of is that business owners are getting all about Facebook or all about Google. In the beginning, you need a hybrid of, I would say, 60-40, where because time is your friend and cash flow isn't, you should be starting the systems, you should be starting the Facebook stuff, you should be familiarizing yourself, getting coaching on the Google, the Facebook, the newspaper ads, but respecting the fact that cash flow might not be your friend, and therefore the budget isn't as big as you would like it to be. But what you have got, and as bigger asset, is your time. So using the concepts of educational-based marketing, value-based marketing that I teach, which is lead with information, lead with answering questions for people who might not know enough about what you do to say yes, and knocking on doors, getting in front of hairdressers, getting in front of the dentists, gym owners, yoga studios, etc., and just leaving information in their clinics, which invites people to get in touch with you, have your nurture systems in play. I use Infusionsoft for all of my follow-up emails that go out for people who make inquiries, because for most businesses, as they get going, eventually, it's not that they had a lack of inquiries, it's that they couldn't convert the inquiries, or that they didn't follow up on the inquiries who said no. And if you can figure out a way to get inquiries coming to you through information, and then have a system in play that nurtures and follows up on the inquiries, because it doesn't mean that they're ready to book today, even if they call you, you have to truly understand that. So building a system in your, let's say 30 or 40% of your time, 2 days a week, and using the other 3 days of the week while time's on your hand to actually build those relationships. In a year or two, time will not be your friend, and you'll need to put more of your time and money into the Google stuff, the Facebook stuff, etc. So having that solid foundation there in the first place allows you to scale it very quickly. So having that mutual respect between time and money and automation, that having one eye on it early doors is important in getting the learning on it, but at the same time getting off your backside and going doing something and using the principles of marketing. And then when time is not your friend, you've already got the marketing system set up. You can just now spend more of the money that you've got coming in on it and scale very quickly.
That's perfect. It's great advice. Great advice. And along those lines, can you talk about, because I think there's a lot of people out there who are saying that, oh, I'm too early into practice, and when I get more patients, that's when I'll switch to cash. I know of a couple of success cases, but I'd love to hear, do you have any success cases that stand out of young clinicians? Maybe they started with you from zero that are seeing success in a cash-based model.
I could reel off like I could be here till midnight. I've got that many people in my programs who are doing that.
Well, what's one that really shocks you of maybe a transformation? They didn't come in as the most confident person, but now you look at them a year later and you're proud, not just that they're a customer, but you're proud of that person because of their personal growth.
Yeah, I mean, everybody likes to think that there's something against them, and I could give you stories. One of my favorite is a guy called Jake Burnham in Florida, in Naples, and why I love his is because I remember speaking to him on the very first time we had a strategy call. He took a program called my New Patient Accelerator class, and he literally sat in his small little room speaking to me. He said, I've only got 4 or 5 patients a week. I plucked up the courage to speak to you. I don't know if I've got that much money, but I'm going to be able to get going with this program. I'll stick it on a credit card. He took the program. He went through it. The next I heard from him about 8 months later, he got up to like 30 visits a week. He got from 140 a session to like 210. And the best caveat on it was that he was running newspaper ads in Naples full of retirees who come down in the winter snowbirds, and he's all cash. And like anybody who rings, he's figured out, he's followed the script and the systems and used everything I taught him to get Medicare, eligible people to pay bloody cash out of pocket. And his business defies the norm that everybody or nobody will ever pay cash. Yes, they will. Nobody will ever pay cash, even if they're Medicare. Yes, they will. And he's now in my mastermind program, so I speak to him regularly. But the last update on his progress is 60 visits a week in his clinic. Moved to a brand new facility that he bought with the money that he's made and put a big deposit down on it. Full-time secretary and his first full-time physical therapist in the space of 15 months. That is the type of stories that I love. He had no momentum. He had nothing going. All the odds were stacked against him. The bull crap of Florida. Nobody will pay. Nobody's got any money. Everybody wants to pay Medicare and blah, blah, blah. And he's just defied everybody's logic.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to you. And please keep it up, because I think that everybody that has a physio license or a chiropractic license, I think I told you, I teach nationally for a group, and it drives me nuts when you talk to people at the end of the course and they're saying they're asking business questions about, and every answer comes back, I can't do that because, and it's just like, you have this license, you gave up so many years of your life, so many Saturdays and late nights and early mornings and all this. Wring the value out of that damn thing. Get what you put into it, and you're somebody that's done that. And Paul, I think it's so incredible that you're doing that for other people. So, we're getting close on time here, but any other information you want to share with our listeners to kind of break them out of that matrix and help them move forward? I think, like we said, visit the paulgough.com, right? But anything else that we can get them to kind of see the light here?
You'll get what you tolerate in business, and most businesses are getting not very much, or certainly not as much as they could or should be, because they tolerate old school ways of thinking. They are quite literally stuck in the past of how our profession was built over the last 50 years, that just because it was built a certain way with relationships with doctors or only staying in network or dealing with insurances, a lot of people are thinking that that's the only way. They're very closed off. And it absolutely isn't the case. I can tell you, in most towns, cities and states in the US and Australia and Canada and here in the UK, a story like the one I just told you about Jake Burnham, of somebody who basically just sticks 2 fingers up to the system, to the false beliefs, to the crappy, outdated ways of thinking that the healthcare professionals have to conform to a certain standard or have to toe the line when it comes to dealing with doctors or whoever, and we don't, absolutely not. And if we didn't have those stories and we didn't have those case studies, our nebbies wouldn't be as confident in telling you. Absolutely. 2 or 3 years ago, if you'd have interviewed me, I'd have said, well, I've got this theory and I'm pretty sure it can work. And, this is the concepts. And now I have zero emotion tied to telling you that people are doing it. And it's not a case of can it or will it work? It's quite simply, will you do it? And if you don't, you will get every ounce of frustration, of debt, of crap, of dealing with all of the stuff that comes with running an outdated model. And I have no hesitation in saying business owners deserve it, because you absolutely get what you tolerate in this life.
It's awesome. You went from Newton with the theory of gravity, and 2 years later, it's a law, right?
It is.
It always the apple always falls that way.
Yeah. If you'd have interviewed, some of the podcasts that I did a few years ago are obviously still around, and I will not be as confident or as brutal as I am right now, because, to be quite frank, I have zero time for anybody. And I mean this respectfully, for anybody who wants to, that might not work, or I don't know. It's like, I've not got time to mess about with that sort of crap, because there's too many people who want help. There's too many people who are doing it. The theory's proven in multiple states, towns, cities, countries, and everything else is just outdated beliefs. That if you want to think that way, well, good luck, and I'll see you in 30 years, and let me know how stressful that business
as the greeter at Walmart.
let me know how. Well, unfortunately for most, they're not that lucky. Most of them are not that lucky that they'll actually quit and chuck the towel in. They will continue with the crap and the hassle for 25, 30 years, always thinking that the light is at the end of the tunnel, and it never is, because they're just working harder and harder on the same wrong thing, rather than looking at a completely different strategy, which allows you to do a hell of a lot less and make a hell of a lot more, and most importantly, have a fulfilled, enjoyable, feel as though you're in control of your practice, right type of person that you want to do business with. You set your fees, you hire, you fire. It's a completely different world that I hope more and more people step across to experience what it's actually like, because it's going on right now. And if you don't want a piece of it, good luck. It's going to be a long, hard struggle, because it ain't going to get any easier.
Well, if you're out there and you're, as my friend says, if you've fallen off the back of the cruise ship and you don't know which way's up, and you're swimming around trying to find your way and you feel overwhelmed, why don't you reach out to Paul or his team and get hooked up? Because if you're really feeling that way, I certainly don't want you to add another layer of complexity on, with the gym, but get your clinic healthy. And it sounds like, Paul, you have the absolute best recipe out there for getting that clinic to be healthy, and along the way, get that person to set some higher goals. I mean, I'm sure once your guy in Florida saw his own success, his own abilities, what he thought was possible, it bloomed like a flower, right?
It's incredible once you get on the path and you get that first little win, you get that first little bit of confidence around what you're doing. You get a wonderful thing called momentum coming into your life, and you become unstoppable once you do. The advice is out there, the people are out there, the strategies are out there. Just get out and find them.
Fantastic. Well, Paul, it's been a slice of heaven, my man, and I really appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you're doing for the professions. And once again, where can people find you, just so we can shoot them to the right place?
PaulGough.com is the home of my podcast and video show. You can jump on my email list as well, or PT.
And Gough is Gough. Sorry, I want to make sure people know that.
Gough, as in cough with a G. I'm Irish. It's an Irish name. My family are half Irish, so it's a very traditional Irish family background that I come from originally. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so PaulGough.com. They can find you there, and he's got a great podcast. He's got great programs. I've been a fan since I met him. 2 years ago, 2.5?
Yeah, in Phoenix. It was. I remember it well.
Yeah. Well, fantastic. Paul, thank you very much for being here. Thanks for all the tips and the advice. Good luck to everybody out there. And on behalf of Paul Gough, this is Dr. Josh Satterley saying, go out there, maximize your license, and live the life you dreamt of. Thanks a lot, Paul.
Thanks, Josh. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Clinic Gym Radio. If you're ready to double your profit without working longer hours, please visit clinicgymhybrid.com and find out how easy it is to get started on your path to freedom. That's clinicgymhybrid.com.